Good evening and Happy New Year. We're about to have 2025. Very exciting. Hello and welcome. My name is Seth. This is Sweet Chariot, where firstly, if you're subscribed, hello. Thanks, guys. You're the best. If you're new, subscribe. You know how YouTube works, and maybe you don't. Yeah, help me build this channel. And thanks very much to everyone who has. Yes, if you're new, you don't know what we do here. We are trying to revisit some traditional techniques and values in the form of self-bow making and other things, to be honest as well. Taking a bit of time to make an ash sword. Bokken, I believe it's called. Come for a bit of mahogany on the end there, hold it all together. So yeah, not just doing bows, also doing swords and arrows. And walking sticks, Shalala walking sticks when I get a chance. Come find me on eBay. Forgive my, I'm going to do a dedicated shop soon. It's all up online with all bike bits and shoes and things, which I also love, but should do a dedicated shop, shouldn't I? Yes, techniques and values. The techniques is the yew self bow. Just quickly, for those who are new, this was once this, a lump of yew. Probably a bit twistier than this, which is why it's taken so long to get to this stage. But we are here. We've scraped and tilled. We've got what looks like a bow. So yeah, let's try and keep it concise. What's this video about? We're doing brace height, handle tips and brace height, which is the stage I'm at now. I'm no pro bow maker, but what I am doing is making bows. So I can run into problems and try and improve my designs, and I can share that with you. Yes, and therefore be the change that I wish to see. Sweet Chariot, everybody. Right, cool. We go over a few things. See, to get to this stage, you cut. You do lots of cutting, and then you go to scraping, and then you go to sanding. It's very intuitive. Each piece of wood, like the process of yew bow making, obviously you put it through a process, but each piece of wood is unique. You have to be considerate of different things with each lump of wood, and of course considering what design you're trying to make. Now this one is a horse bow, because I snapped my last horse bow because I didn't consider my piece of wood well enough. So on this one, I've been very mindful of not going too thin in this area here, which is where the last one broke. That's the recurve now. We've got the handle set before. I guess that was the main thing with the other one. The handle and the tips were all nicely done. Everything. I put a lot of energy into working on the handle and the tips before making sure that the limbs were working as they should. I started messing around. So, this bow is working really well. I could get it to shoot quicker. And I tried to front set the limbs, and then that twisted them a little bit. So I had to straighten them out again, and I don't know. I just played around with it just a little bit too much on a piece of wood that wasn't all that strong in the first place. I missed that bow, but it's cool because we're going to do this one in a very similar fashion. So where we're at now is, well, we've got a string on, obviously, and you know what? I can shoot it. Let's go ahead and shoot it quickly before we talk about what I'm going to do to the tips and to the handle, because it shoots, and changing those things will change certain things about the way it shoots. Let's show you what it can do first, hopefully without shooting my phone. Give us a moment. There we go. Flying pretty good. I can show you the draw length and the tiller this way. So just down to one light. Let me chuck on another light as well. So yeah, we've got some draw. We could get some more. We could get some more length in here. Let me put this light on first, if it's easy. Oh, where did it go? What a mess. Right, here we go. Better. Cool. Hopefully I haven't knocked my camera. Right, yes. Draw length, we can get a little bit more. you get a huge amount of draw length from the tips, and we want our tips to be as active as possible, really. Stiff tips do make for a fast bow, but you get a smoother draw with nice active tips, I believe. From the start, you haven't got to overcome the stiffness in the tips and then sort of work the bend on here. Well, yeah, that is very much a trait of Asian bows, which is, well, we could call this the English horsebow design. Because we are in England, this is a traditional English material. I'm guessing normally your horsebows would be bone and bamboo and things like that. So yeah, this can be the English horsebow. And yeah, well, if I'm honest, well, yeah, next bow maybe on a more appropriate piece of wood. Because like I say, on other designs, when you have real stiff tips, all the bends going on here, and this is not a particularly thick piece of wood. Yeah, but it is a decent length. Right, let's get back to it. 64 inches with a 60.5 inch string. That is a really good guideline for a deflex reflex design. English longbow, 3 inches is your guideline. It might be slightly different. Sorry, yeah, 3.5 for this one, 3 inches for your longbow, 4 inches shorter than your nocks. You measure it this side as well. So you measure this length between your nocks. And for a recurve, it'll be 4 inches shorter than that measurement there. For this one, 3.5 is a very good place to start, like I was just about to say. It might be very slightly different for each designed bow. And we can start from the way that what path the limbs take. I mean, if you've got a deflex reflex, they're not all going to be the same. The way that the tips are formed, the width of the end of the limb here, the width of the tip, how long your loops are. Yeah, those things are all going to affect the brace height very slightly between all your designs. Like I say, with all the other bows the first ones I made, I was doing a deflex reflex design and then using a string that was 3 inches shorter than the length of the nocks of the bows, because I was going on the longbow principle, the English longbow principle. And yeah, I just quickly realised that, well, through shooting that design, it probably wanted a shorter string. Lo and behold, found that information from a YouTuber, and went ahead and did it. Because I started with 60 inches, then I moved up to 64. And when I ordered a 64-inch string to make 64-inch bows, I did a half an inch shorter. So yeah, I took that principle that I learned with the shorter ones and then moved it on to these ones. So that's sort of an anchor principle I hold with. Like this style of bow, these are the length of the string that we begin with, at least. Yeah, because as you can see, it creates a really good brace height. That is 8 inches, I've measured it already. But what we need to do is add material to the handle, not just for comfort's sake and styling's sake, but there's a tiny amount of bend in the handle here. It was worse before I took a wee bit more away from the tips, but there is still just a tiny amount of bend in there. And in the forming of, or the final forming of this, I'm going to be dropping just a wee bit more material away from this area here. Try and get it as close to here as I can without making it snap. And that'll give us a nice deflexed handle shape. And that's the other thing I was going to say in terms of draw length. When we go ahead and attach the handle, which I reckon we've got some American black walnut there, maybe, might use that. We've also got some mahogany here, maybe a little bit too shallow. Yeah, you're going to sit on right about there. There's a hole going the whole way through the bow here. So it goes about there, just covering it up. And we're going to want to blend these two together. Drop this handle away, it's just going to be a little lump in the middle here. I want it deep and long enough to be able to be structural, to stop it from bending in the bow. And yeah, and we're going to drop it into here. And then we've got to worry about removing power again. So if we take too much material away here to blend it in, it could take it past the power point that we want. So that's just something to consider. Because to make that fit, we're also going to have to flatten this off. So we're going to lose some material there. In fact, that will be the first one I do. Before I take any more material away here to try and just make it shaped nicely, because it's, you know, all the active limb is stops here. You know, it's not going to be part of the active limb. Although saying that, it will help. Once I got the handle on, once everything's flattened here, and we're trying to blend into here, this area will be where the final bit of draw length comes from. Well, you could probably see it in the tiller. We've got a nice bit of action up here, but it stiffens out quite a bit in this area. Yeah, that will put strain on that, on the hinges. Well, it will create a hinge here and cause it to snap. Of course, what we're trying to do is make it a really nice, probably more draw length than we need, but at the same time try and maintain a decent power level. With your horse bows, I don't think they particularly need to be particularly powerful. Yeah, I've heard 25-pound bows, and they're quick as well. Still, it's all in the design. Rather than being heavy draw, they're elaborately shaped to create speed through the shape of the limb. What power they do have is really very effective at making the string come back quickly. Yeah, well, so yeah, this one's going to be, I've seen Turkish longbows that are similar to design to this. Quite long, quite gradually shaped, still with your reflex design. So yeah, things I need to consider now. So once I've flattened off the handle, I sort of flattened off the stave, sorry. Well, actually, something I did notice, and the reason why that arrow, flew so well, flew okay, is because the limbs have retwisted a little bit. Let's check it with the string on. I see it really, yeah. Don't know if you'll be able to see there. This was a really twisty stave. There's been a lot of effort to try and get it untwisted. It'd be tricky if one limb is bent. It'll be easier, obviously, but yeah, I want one limb straight so I know where to straighten back to. But I have a feeling both of these limbs are slightly off. This is what we get in the final stage, is an ability to twist it like this, and then mount the handle onto the side that gives us the best string line, or sort of onto the angle, sorry, it gives us the best string line. But this is a genuine question. This is something I don't know. The Iumi design is designed to put the string deliberately over to one side. It's a very traditional bow. The principle I've been going on making center cut bows is that the string line has to be dead center. Yeah, to make your arrows work properly, know where you're at, sort of spine wise. But with your traditional bows, I don't know. I think the Viking longbow, I have a feeling I'm remembering right, is strung over to one side, which puts your string line over to one side of the bow. So this is something I've got to consider. Do I fight the stave? Do I go back and spent a lot of time coming in and out of this jig here, trying to get it straight, using a lot of power with the heat gun? Do I keep fighting the stave and try and pull them back center, or do I use the natural curve of the stave, which brings that string line across quite nicely to the right, which is where the arrow is going to be shot from. It's a horse bow. I want to shoot from the right. I guess the compromise being with a nice straight string line, you could fire off either side of the bow if you create an arrow pass. But this, genuine question: is this something that would be acceptable? This is the side that the piece of wood naturally favours, being a twisty piece of wood as it was. It's trying to remember its original memory and go back. Do I fight it or do I utilize it? I don't know. I don't know if that's something that is done, which is proper, which is probably something I should go look up, or you guys could tell me right now. I'm sure there's someone in the comments who will know if that's an acceptable approach to this problem. Yeah, because I've been making center shot ones, my inclination is to try and make it straight. Well, I don't know if that will make it weaker or stronger in the long run. All I know is a string should be down the middle of the bow. So yeah, depending on that piece of information, that sort of defines what I do next, because I go on a rule of making sure we get the chassis of the bow, the working, engineering, mechanical part of it operating as it should, and that includes getting the limbs nice and straight before we put any energy into doing the handle or the tips. We've burned too many times doing that before. So yeah, I'm going to need to find out that piece of information. I wager I'm going to want to straighten it back up again. But first that. Then we're going to flatten this sucker off. There's various ways that you can do that. But you want to be making sure that your handle surface is nicely in line with your limbs. Very important stuff. Obviously that's going to affect the way it sits into your hand and the way the bow lines up. Excuse me. So yeah, as best we can, and it can be really hard to figure out if you haven't got a flat surface created on one of these to give you an anchor point. Not an anchor point like here, I don't know, well, new people won't know what I'm talking about. The anchor principle to me in bow making is you pick something that stays still. Typically it's going to be your handle. That's your first anchor principle. That is just the center point of the bow. It's not going anywhere. So you move a limb to where it wants to be in regards to your handle, that becomes your anchor limb, because you know that one is straight with that one, and then you can work to the other parts of the bow knowing that certain bits are exactly where you want to be. So yeah, your main anchor in that is your handle. And of course you can be trying to do things to the tips, let's say. It's looking a little bit twisted. Yeah, the twist comes with it coming out of line, so yeah. So you might have one tip, how you want it to be, that becomes your anchor tip, and you try and adjust that one to that instead of trying to meet in a midpoint or whatever. However you might attack these problems, this is just it's problem solving. You're trying to release this bow from that lump of wood over there and make it do as you want to do. And what we want to do is make an arrow go quickly. We're almost there. Yeah, that was the next thing. Tips. I see our handle is going to affect our brace height just a little bit. So we have quite a nice brace height, 8 inches off the back of the stave there. That's a little bit lower. It still might be okay considering the style of shooting we're going for. We're flicking the bow out of the way. If we were doing Mediterranean style, we would hold our hand here and we'll be, we're not moving the bow stays still. So we'll be more likely to get a slap, especially the ladies. So yeah, for a Mediterranean style bow, that with the handle, it's probably a little bit low. Yeah, just over 7. That's probably 7 and 1/8. However, we're going to be molding this down. This is going to be just a bit of a lump left in the middle of the bow, enough to stop it from bending in the middle, whatever bend might be left there. And then we're also going to be adding material to the tips, which is effectively going to raise the brace height again, want it shorten the string, lengthen the nocks is a probably more accurate way to talk about it. It's going to lengthen the nocks very slightly, or quite a lot, depending on what you might want to do. So I was thinking about using this material, but it's probably overkill. I'll probably use another piece of this. Obviously it looks quite a lot there, but you're going to be grooving down into it, so you can select. I guess you get a bit of a play with your brace height. String length. I'm focusing on these sort of these components that affect the brace height between the handle and the nocks, because this is the string I'm working on. That's an anchor principle for me. I'm working with this string. I'm not particularly keen on unwinding strings, buying more strings. So we go for that central point, that medium, that 3.5 inches shorter than knock principle. And we work from there. That's what I've decided to do anyway. If you have the means, you could just go ahead and make your bow and then make a string that fits it exactly. And deciding on what brace height you want in combination with your handle height and the way that your limbs go. you're just not going to know, are you? But what I can see here is that working with this string, the one that, you know, should fit the bow at 3.5 inches shorter than the nocks, these are the things I'm going to start thinking about. I can now choose my brace height between the height of the material here and the depth of the material here, and you can start seeing those specs coming together, taking form as it should do. Yeah, looking forward to it. The horsebow is really fun to shoot. It relies on a nice skinny handle, so you can wrap your, I mean, it's not far off at this sort of size. Like I said, it just needs just a little bit more meat. Yeah, it's all about being able to add tension to it, flick the bow out the way. If you haven't done it, it's very fun and I recommend it. So yeah, I hope that's a little bit less waffle than normal. This is the problem I'm at. Well, we've done quite a bit of it now. Now it's just tentatively finishing off. I'm trying to forget how much time has gone into making these limbs work, because you can get precious at this point. But no, finish it off. Make it proper. You want tip overlays to protect that U. You want your handle to be comfortable and also operate correctly. If you've gone for a Mediterranean style, shoots on this side, sorry, tripping over cardboard there. Then you want your thumb nook really nicely carved in there. Or if you're going for a traditional longbow, you make sure everything's nice and rounded and comfortable and you're protected on your arrow there, and then you go spend time thinking about your arrows, making sure your arrows are spined correctly. Yeah, well, is that Ryan? I sort of see with these Asian style bows, the spining seems to matter less on your arrows. It's much more about, well, with technique, you can make a lot more arrows work with the bow. With your center cut bows, it's all about the string line and having the stiffest arrow possible, because you've eliminated spine altogether, so all the energy's going into the arrow. Whereas with your traditional bows, your English long bows, it's all about the arrow. I mean, your string line could be very slightly off either way. What that's going to do is make you need to shoot a different arrow, which is just not acceptable with your center cut bow, but then not as much of a problem with your horsebow. Yeah, it's all very, I say, finicky. Talking about the strings and the arrows in terms of getting it dialed in to behaving as you want it to. That there's a lot of fine tuning, but it all begins here with this brace height, getting the brace height correct. Yeah, and I think messing around with lengths of the string does get in the way of that. So if you start with the solid principle that the string should be this long, I think it's good guidance. Yeah, play around with it later once you've made it work a few times. Yes, let's put it one more time. Yeah, you can see it from here. We can get some more movement out of these wedges, but yeah, I can feel the bend starting to occur. So that's sort of objective number one. Stop it from bending in the middle. You don't want that. I guess it's stopping power from going to the limbs if it's bending in the middle. So yeah, that might even increase the poundage very slightly. Yeah, then once the handle's on, feel it again, because you're going to have what's the word? Shorten your draw length effectively. You've pushed the bow, so increase your draw length. Sorry, no, yeah, you've pushed the bow very slightly away from your hand. So to get it to anchor point, you're gonna have to pull it the amount of material that you've added to the handle more. So that'll increase the poundage as well. Whether it takes it to a point where I don't like it and I want to take a bit more material away, we don't know. If we do, it's probably going to come from here. This area here. There's a wee bit more that can come away from the top. There's much more that can come away down here. I think we're going to lose less power if it comes from down here. But I don't know. I'm still learning. And I hope I've helped you along the way with learning as well. You just got to get hands on. If you find a twisty piece of you, you can straighten it out. It might be a bit of a bastard, but you can get it done. I've had some that have been perfect. This one ain't quite there, But like I say, we'll see if it can operate anyway. I will do some research into that. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. Happy New Year. Be the change that you want to see. I like being surrounded by wooden things, particularly wooden weapons are particularly cool. But yeah, this is our resource. It's a sustainable, natural, organic, beautiful resource that we are an ecosystem with, and we lose this knowledge at our peril. I'll tell you what, woodwork is a great way to feel good, a great way to feel human, and you can end up with something really cool, which could, maybe just feed you one day. You never know. At the very least, it will challenge you. Yeah, challenge you in the making, and then challenge you in the shooting. You can see, yeah, you can see my spread there. Still got some work to do. I'll tell you what, as the bow gets better, as you sort of just whittle away more and more, get things where it should, that circle just gets narrower, narrower, narrower. Yeah, as the arrow behaves as it should on the handle, and it's drawing back to where you line everything up, it all just starts to make sense. So yeah, it's an important point. We make it comfortable and we make it work right. And make sure that brace height is right. String line, everything staying in the nocks, tips protected. And that's how we do. Yeah, thanks again, everyone. Happy New Year. I'll stop my waffling and leave you to it. See you in the next one.